Saint Manikavachakar says in the fourth song of Thirukkothumbi in Thiruvachagam as follows: Kannapa Nayanar is in the highest stage of love for the Lord, whereas I am in the beginning stage. Still, my Lord and Father Shiva accepted and took over me by his grace and made me one of high moral value. O King of Tumbi, dragonfly, do go to the Lord and sing the praise of the one who smears the finely powdered bhasmam all over his body. A true devotee never seeks anything for himself. Instead, he offers to the Lord whatever he has. Kannapa Nayanar is the ever-shining example of this love. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi and his beloved devotee, the poet saint Muruganar, have said in Ramana Puranam of Sri Ramana Sannidhi Murai that even though Kannapa Nayanar was not learned and a hunter belonging to a tribal community, was able to obtain the grace of the Lord of Kalahasti by his unique and sincere love for the Lord and his complete surrender to Shiva. Let us now look into the story of a devotee belonging to the ruthless jungle tribe who offer the forbidden animal flesh as food and his eye as gift to the Lord and attain salvation.
Tiruchitrambalam. Kannapa Nayanar. I am the servant of the great Kannapar, who is the fountain of all arts. Ritualistic religion had always looked down upon simple devotion and could not understand selfless surrender to God. Simple folks never bothered themselves with any deep knowledge of scriptures, and this evoked derision from pedants versed in scriptures. But the lives of our saints always hold out before us the simple truth that surrender and selflessness far surpasses ritualism. The story of Saint Kannapa Nayanar well illustrates this great truth. A long time ago, a chief by name Naga ruled over a tribe of hunters who lived close to a forest near Kalahasti in modern Chittoor district. After a long period of prayers to God, a sturdy little boy was born to him and was named Thinna, meaning robust. The boy grew up into a fearless archer, skilled in all the modes of fighting and warfare and in the use of weapons of those days. As was the custom among those people, Thinna was sent when he was 16 on his maiden hunt to qualify himself for the rulership of his tribe. Along with two of his chosen comrades, Nana and Kada, Thinna entered the forest and, after bagging several animals, pursued a huge wild boar which led him to the foot of a hill. He shot and killed the boar. His comrades were amazed at his powers in killing the mighty boar and in his maiden hunt. When they suggested that they roast it and eat it, he said he felt very thirsty. His comrades pointed out to him a small river close to the hill. Beckoning to Nana to follow him, he mounted the hill. With every step, he felt lighter and lighter, and some nameless wonder and joy filled his heart. At the top of the hill, he saw a Shivalinga. An ineffable joy welled up in his heart. Thinna knew that this was the image of God worshipped there. He rushed to it, embraced it, and shed tears of joy. A sudden and mysterious transformation had come upon him. "My Lord," he cried, "how can you be here all alone amidst wild beasts?" Looking around, he saw that the Shivalinga was bathed in water and fresh flowers had been strewn on him. His aide, Nana, told him that a Brahmin priest used to go there every day, bathe the image, strew flowers on it, and also gave it food. Hearing this, Tinna thought that he should also do likewise, as these were apparently acts pleasing to God. But he did not relish the thought of leaving the Lord alone and go in search of food. He would take a few steps, return, embrace the Lord, would again go, cast a loving look like a cow which had just yielded a calf. However, very reluctantly, he finally left the place and went out to get water, flowers, and food. On the way, his other aide, Kada, tried to intercept him, offered him cooked meat from their hunt. But Tinna had no eyes or ears for anyone except his Lord. After some time, the two men left Tinna and reported his behavior to his father. His father, in due course, came there, but no one was able to move Tinna from his self appointed post of guard for the Lord, and so they all returned to their homes disappointed. At daybreak, Tinna left off his vigil to get water and food for the Lord. Having no vessels to carry water in, he took a mouthful of water in his mouth, inserted a few bunches of wild flowers for the Lord in his hair, and carried some cooked and pre-tasted meat in one hand, the other hand being occupied with bow and arrows, ever on the alert to fight wild animals that might attack the Lord. Returning to the temple by evening, he swept off the flowers on the Lord's head with his sandaled foot, because both his hands were engaged in carrying food and weapons, spat the water from his mouth on the image by way of bath for him, and presented the meat he had brought for his food. "My Lord," he said, "I have tasted this meat and found it very sweet. Please take it." The night was over, and it was now daybreak. Tinna went out again and followed the same routine. Meanwhile, the Brahmin priest, who was offering ritualistic worship to the Lord, came there for his morning worship and saw desecration all around. He saw impressions of shoes, spittle, and meat. His heart revolted at the sight. After cleaning the place, he offered his usual ceremonial worship and went home. After he went, Tinna returned with water, flowers, and meat as usual and worshipped the Lord in his own way. He stood guard over him all night, holding the bow and arrows in his hands, without a wink of sleep. In the morning, he went out to gather his materials, while the priest Shivagocharya came in and performed his agamic puja. This double puja went on for 5 days. The priest could endure it no longer. He cried to the Lord, "My Lord, how is it that such desecration had been done here?" He heard the Lord in his dream say, "My friend, the desecrator is our Bhakta. All his form is love for us. All his consciousness is the eagerness to know us. All his action is pleasing to us. His sandaled foot is dearer to us than the feet of our child Muruga. His spittle is holier to us than all the Ganga waters. All the flowers showered on us by the Devas and others will not equal to the flowers given to us from his hair. The meat tasted by him is sweeter to us than all the offerings made in sacrificial fire. His unsophisticated words are superior than all the scriptural mantras. Do not worry. Conceal yourself here tomorrow and see for yourself the measure of his love to us." Much wonderstruck, the priest chose to wait in the temple and see what happened. So, when his usual worship for the day was over, he concealed himself there and was anxiously waiting for an event that might happen. He, of course, knew nothing about Tinna. Tinna, who had gone away during the day, came at the nightfall as usual with water, flowers, and meat. On his way, he had some evil omens, and so he ran up to the Shivalinga with greater haste. Going up to the image, he saw blood oozing out of the right eye of the Lord. He was greatly shocked, thinking that this might be the work of some miscreant or wild animal. He searched around but found none. He then brought some herbs to stop the blood flow, but they had no effect. Suddenly, he recalled a popular saying, "Eye for an eye," meaning that a damaged eye could be replaced by a healthy eye. Immediately, he dug out his right eye with an arrow and applied it to the right eye of the Lord. The flow of blood stopped. Tinna danced in ecstasy. But not for long. The left eye, however, began to bleed now. Tinna saw this. "No fear," he said. "Now I know the remedy." Determined to apply his left eye to the image, Tinna drew out an arrow, kept his sandaled foot close to the affected eye of the image to mark the spot, since he would not be able to see the place after his second eye has been pulled out, and inserted the arrow. Unable to stand such a sacrifice any longer, a hand shot out of the image saying, "Stop, Kannapa, stop." Kannapa, one who applied the eye. Devotion such as this had never been seen before. The learned priest Shivagocharya was awestruck, and he could not but fall at the feet of the unlettered hunter, who was thenceforth known as Kannapar. Such is the legend of Kannapar. His praise is sung by all hymn singers and also Shankara. There is always a never-ending conflict between two aspects of devotion. But the truth is that primitive people can be more spontaneous in expression of love than the civilized people. The second is that the heart is more dear to God than the head. Rituals, by their very nature, can be only for the chosen few, those who can follow the path of cold reason. But what matters is really the heart. This most ancient legend records for all time the triumph of heart over head, love over reason. The words of Saint Sundarar said when mentioning Kannappar in Tiruttondar Togai, "The fountain of all arts is most significant." Tiruchitrambalam.
விற்றூணொன்றில்லாத நல்கூர்ந்தான்காள் வியன் கச்சி கம்பன்காள் பிச்சையல்ல விற்றூணொன்றில்லாத நல்கூர்ந்தான்காள் வியன் கச்சி கம்பன்காள் பிச்சையல்ல மற்றூணொன்றில்லாத மாசதூரன்காள் மயானத்து மைந்தன்காள் மாசு ஒன்றில்ல மற்றொன்றில்லாத மாசதூரன்காள் மயானத்து மைந்தன்காள் மாசொன்று இல்ல பொற்றூன்காள் மாமணினல் குன்று ஒப்பான்காள் பொய்யாது பொழிலேழும் தாங்கி நின்ற பொற்றூன்காள் மாமணினல் குன்று ஒப்பான்காள் பொய்ய காணப்பட்டு கணநாதன் காண்கவன் என் கண்ணுடனே கற்றூன் காண்காலத்தி காணப்பட்டு கணநாதன் காண்கவன் என் செண்டாடும் விடையாய் செண்டாடும் விடையாய் சிவனேயன் செழுஞ்சுடரே செண்டாடும் விடையாய் சிவனேயன் செழுஞ்சுடரே சிவனேயன் செழுஞ்சுடரே பண்டாரும் குழல பண்டாரும் குழல உமைபாகம் மகிழ்ந்தவரே பண்டாரும் குழல உமைபாகம் மகிழ்ந்தவரே உமைபாகம் மகிழ்ந்தவனே உமைபாகம் மகிழ்ந்தவனே கண்டார் காதலிக்கும் கணநாதன்யம் காலத்திய கண்டார் காதலிக்கும் கணநாதன்யம் காலத்திய கண்டார் காதலிக்கும்.
Devotees of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi would be delighted to know the amount of regards Bhagavan had for Kannapa Nayanar and his bhakti. Sri T.K. Sundaresa Iyer, in his book At the Feet of Bhagavan, mentions that once, while Bhagavan was narrating the life of Kannapa Nayanar, and while he was nearing the end, the following happened. When Bhagavan came to the story of how Kannapar was plucking out his second eye to heal the second one of the Lord, and how the Shivalinga extended a hand to stop him, saying, "Stop, Kannapar!" Bhagavan's voice choked. His body perspired profusely. His hairs stood on the end. Tears gushed out of his eyes. He could hardly utter a word, and there was silence, pin-drop silence in the hall. All were dumbfounded that this great jnani could be so overpowered by emotion and ecstasy at the great hunter saint's devotion. After a while, Bhagavan quietly closed the book, dried the tears in his eyes with the end of his towel, and laid aside the book, saying, "No, I can't go on any further." Today, we are indeed blessed to recount the life of the great sage Kannapa Nayanar. Tiruchitrambalam.